One crash has completely changed the Tour de France. Jonas Vingegaard started stage 15 as Tadej Pogacar's biggest challenger. Less than an hour later, his tour was over. Moments afterward, Remco Evenepoel defeated Tadej Pogačar on Plateau de Soleilson to win the biggest road stage victory of his tour career and move into second overall. But the story actually began during the middle of the night. This is everything that happened. At exactly 2 a.m. Central European Time, while the peloton slept before the mountains of stage 15, testers from the International Testing Agency knocked on Jonas Vingegaard's door. It was an unannounced control. 3 hours later, at 5 a.m. Central European Time, officials made a similar visit to the hotel room of Tadej Pogačar. Both riders cooperated, but the pre-dawn wake-up calls triggered immediate frustration. Both riders supported testing, but they criticized the timing. Vingegaard noted the direct impact on his physical recovery, while Pogačar later revealed the early test left him with only 4 hours of sleep before a brutal day of alpine climbing. Pogačar suggested that the resulting fatigue may have affected his performance on the road. While observers quickly questioned if sleep deprivation played a role in the crash that followed, no causal link exists between these events. The connection remains entirely unproven. Yet before the morning rollout even began, the Tour's two main rivals were already operating on depleted energy. The tactical roadmap for Stage 15, a brutal 184-kilometer mountain day ending atop the Plateau de Soleilson, had been circled in red by Visma Lease bike for weeks. The route demanded total commitment on a serious climbing day. With 4,700 meters of vertical gain, the route represented one of the final realistic opportunities to isolate and pressure the yellow jersey. For Jonas Vingegaard, trailing Tadej Pogačar by 4 minutes and 30 seconds in the general classification, defending his second place was never the plan. Staying passive would only hand the race to his rival. The team's strategy was built on calculated aggression. They designed an offensive blueprint to exploit the high-altitude ramps of the final climb, aiming to break the race apart before the second rest day. Visma's sports directors identified the technical descent following the Col de la Croisette as the ideal launchpad. The plan was to deploy Victor Campenerts to set a furious, suffocating tempo on the approach, stripping away Pogačar's support riders. Vingegaard would remain sheltered in the draft, conserving vital energy until the race reached a highly technical roundabout just 21 kilometers from the finish. At that exact choke point, Vingegaard was committed to launching a decisive long-range attack. It was a high-risk strategy, but it was a calculated gamble, born from the reality that matching Pogačar in a standard defensive battle was no longer enough. The team started the stage with absolute clarity. To win the Tour, they had to force the race leader into uncharted territory. Exactly 21 kilometers remained when the peloton reached the technical roundabout following the descent of the Col de la Croisette. This was the precise choke point where the course transitioned onto the final climb. At the front of the general classification group, Victor Campenerts led the Visma line at high speed, executing the team's tactical lead-out. Jonas Vingegaard followed closely on his wheel, ready to launch his long-range offensive on the approaching slopes of the Plateau de Soleilson. Then the plan shattered in an instant. As the riders negotiated the sharp left-hand exit of the roundabout, Vingegaard's front wheel clipped the raised inside curb. The impact broke his traction instantly. At nearly 40 kilometers per hour, his bicycle slid outward across the asphalt, throwing the defending champion heavily onto the road. Behind him, the sudden fall triggered an immediate bottleneck. Several overall contenders, including Tadej Pogačar, were forced to brake hard and unclip to steer around the fallen rider. While those delayed riders quickly regrouped, clipped back in and resumed their chase, Vingegaard remained on the ground, clearly in intense pain. The momentum of the Tour de France swept forward, leaving Visma's carefully devised tactical plan in ruins on the Alpine road. The first serious sign of trouble was the way Jonas Vingegaard lay on the asphalt, holding his right shoulder. Race doctors reached the scene within seconds to assess the injury. They immobilized his arm, fitted a protective sling, and carefully moved the defending champion onto a stretcher. By 1:59 p.m. Central European Time, an ambulance pulled away from the roadside, carrying the Danish rider to the nearest hospital. Hours later, Visma Lease bike released the official medical update. Vingegaard had sustained a fractured collarbone alongside multiple abrasions, with surgeons recommending immediate operation. The physical toll was severe and the sporting impact was historic. For a rider who won the Tour in 2022 and 2023 and who had finished every single 3-week race he had ever started, this marked the very first Grand Tour abandonment of his professional career. In an instant, the battle for the yellow jersey lost one of its primary contenders, leaving the race to adapt to an entirely new reality. Immediate questions surfaced regarding what triggered the fall. Eyewitnesses noted a race motorbike travelling close to the inside line of the roundabout exit, just seconds before Jonas Vingegaard lost traction. The corner itself was already a highly technical feature, presenting a sharp left-hand turn with a raised curb and a sudden transition onto a descending gradient. While the proximity of the motorcycle raised immediate concern, the UCI race jury remained cautious. Although they opened an inquiry into the behavior of race vehicles, officials published no formal conclusion by the evening reporting cutoff. For now, the exact cause of the disaster remains an open, unresolved question, even as the race itself sweeps forward toward the brutal slopes of the Plateau de Soleilson. On the brutal final ramps of the Plateau de Soleilson, Tadej Pogačar drove a punishing pace that shattered the remaining field, reducing the lead group to just 5 elite riders. Inside the final kilometre, Isaac Del Toro forced the issue, launching 2 aggressive attacks at 800 metres and 300 metres to go. While the other contenders scrambled to respond, Remco Evenepoel bided his time in the wheels. He waited for the steepest gradient before launching a decisive acceleration, crossing the line first to edge out Pogačar in the uphill sprint. This was Evenepoel's 3rd career Tour stage win, but his very first on a road stage. Shaking with emotion afterward, he explained that the victory answered long-standing doubts about his ability to survive the steepest alpine climbs. Tadej Pogačar now commands the Tour de France with a dominant lead of 4 minutes and 51 seconds. Yet behind the yellow jersey, the race has been completely redrawn, with less than 2 minutes separating 2nd through 5th in a compressed podium fight. Remco Evenepoel occupies 2nd overall, with Isaac Del Toro just 9 seconds behind him in 3rd. Decathlon teammates Paul Sixus and Florian Lipowitz sit 4th and 5th. Further down, Juan Ayuso, Matthias Skelmose, Lenny Martinez, Tom Pidcock and Jordan Jegat complete a highly competitive, reshaped top 10. Visma's sudden exit removes the only squad capable of applying sustained mountain pressure on UAE team Emirates XRG. For Tadej Pogačar, his defining rivalry with Jonas Vingegaard is now suspended, interrupted by injury rather than settled by legs on the road. This elevates Remco Evenepoel as the main challenger. While the upcoming Stage 16 individual time trial suits the reigning world champion, pulling back the leader's massive margin is a monumental task. Behind them, the race takes on a wild new dynamic. Isaac Del Toro must balance supporting his team leader with protecting his own podium position, while decathlon partners Paul Sixus and Florian Lipowitz have the freedom to hunt a career-defining result. As the riders rest before the 30-kilometre race against the clock, the Tour stands completely transformed by 3 intertwined stories: Vingegaard's heartbreak, Evenepoel's breakthrough, and Pogačar's commanding march toward Paris. With the podium fight wide open, who do you think finishes 2nd in Paris? Will it be Remco Evenepoel, Isaac Del Toro, Paul Sixus, or Florian Lipowitz? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to the Cycling Report for more professional cycling coverage. Stage 15 leaves us with Vingegaard's heartbreak, Evenepoel's breakthrough, and Pogačar's path to yellow. Who finishes 2nd in Paris? Remco Evenepoel, Isaac Del Toro, Paul Sixus, or Florian Lipowitz?